Oba Kalu was the kind of man who lived larger than life. His face was often on the cover of Nigerian business magazines. His name was mentioned with respect at every party from Lagos Island to Abuja. To his peers, he was living proof that wealth could be created from nothing but ambition and will. His mansion in Ikoyi towered over the street like a palace, with marble floors that reflected sunlight and a fleet of cars lined up in the driveway. But beneath the expensive suits and the disarming smile lay a secret that no amount of money could bury. Oba had been cursed from birth. He remembered it clearly, though he had tried for years to convince himself it was only a nightmare. When he was 8 years old, sitting in his grandmother's small village hut during the rainy season, he asked her why he sometimes felt something slithering in his chest when he got scared. Her eyes, old and wise, had filled with tears. She told him the truth. Your great grandfather made a bargain, she whispered, glancing at the door as if the walls themselves might be listening. He called on a spirit named Ikiri, the serpent of wealth. Ikiri promised gold, land, and power, and kept his promise, but every first son in this family will carry Ikiri inside him until the curse is broken. The boy had shivered. What does that mean for me? It means you must learn to control your anger, your fear, even your joy, she said gravely. If you lose control, the spirit will show itself. Oba didn't believe her until a few weeks later, when a bully pushed him at school and rage bubbled up in his chest. He felt his body grow hot, his heart pounding. Before he knew it, his vision blurred and he felt something alive, something wrong, pushing to get out. That was the first time he saw the serpent. It slithered out of him as though his body were only a doorway. Black scaled and smooth as oil, the boy who had bullied him screamed and ran. Oba had barely managed to force it back inside, terrified and shaking. From that day, Oba vowed to hide his curse at all costs. Years passed. He became a man, disciplined and careful, masking every flicker of strong emotion with an iron will. Ikiri remained inside him, always whispering in moments of silence, You are power, but power must be fed. Oba ignored it. He went to university, built businesses, and rose to become one of the wealthiest men in Lagos. On the outside, his life looked perfect. He married Amaka first, fiery, beautiful, and fearless. A few years later came Chika, soft spoken, tender, with a voice that could calm any storm. And then Ngozi, sharp witted, playful, and clever enough to manage his hectic social life. He loved them all, and he lied to them all, not out of malice, but out of fear. He swore he would never let them see what lived inside him. But secrets have a way of breaking free. On his 40th birthday, Oba threw the biggest party Lagos had seen in months. His mansion glittered under strings of lights. Politicians and celebrities mingled in the grand hall, while high life music floated through the air. Oba smiled, shook hands, and made toasts. His three wives glided through the crowd like queens, each dressed in dazzling gowns, Amaka in emerald, Chika in gold, and Ngozi in deep wine red. Yet Oba's smile was thinner than usual. Inside him, Ikiri was restless. They are close to knowing, the serpent hissed in his mind. Who? Oba thought back, his face unchanged, as he clinked glasses with an old friend. The ones you love. They will see. Oba's stomach tightened. He glanced at his wives laughing in the corner, at the sea of glittering guests, and forced a chuckle at some joke he barely heard. He knew Ikiri's warnings were never idle. Something would happen tonight. After midnight, when the last guest had left and the music finally went silent, Oba retreated to his private lounge to breathe. The room was quiet, except for the faint ticking of an expensive clock on the wall. He loosened his bow tie and rubbed his temples, but the door opened softly. Amaka, Chika, and Ngozi slipped inside, giggling among themselves. They each carried a small wrapped box. You thought we'd let your birthday end just like that, Amaka teased. We have a surprise for you, Ngozi said with a mischievous smile. Oba forced a smile back. You three have done enough already. There's no such thing as enough, Chika said softly. Especially for you. Oba tried to laugh, but the sound came out strained. The air in the lounge felt warm, almost heavy. He could feel Ikiri uncoiling deep inside his body, like it had been waiting all night. Let me out, the voice whispered. Stop pretending. Oba clenched his fists and muttered under his breath. Not now. What was that? Amaka asked, tilting her head. Nothing, Oba said quickly. Just tired. He stood, moving toward the door. Maybe we should do this tomorrow. But his wives blocked him playfully. Ngozi held up a box. No escaping! Just 5 minutes, Oba. The serpent stirred out, a heat flooding Oba's chest. Suddenly, pain stabbed through his stomach. He gasped and doubled over. Oba! Chika cried, rushing forward. Before anyone could react, it happened. Oba's body trembled violently, and from his waist a black serpent burst forth, smooth as polished ebony, its tongue flicking red in the chandelier light. It coiled around him protectively, hissing at the three women. The room froze. Amaka's hands flew to her mouth in shock. Chika screamed and stumbled backward. Ngozi whispered hoarsely, Jesus Christ. Oba, what is this? Amaka cried, her voice trembling between fear and fury. The serpent raised its head, eyes glowing faintly, and spoke with a voice not entirely human. This is not Oba. This is what he has always been. Oba groaned, falling to his knees. No, don't listen to it. I'm still me. He looked up at his wives with tears in his eyes. Please, don't run. I can explain. Ikiri hissed with laughter. They must accept us or perish. The wives clung to each other, trembling, but Amaka, bold as ever, stepped forward despite her fear. If you are truly Oba, then control it, she shouted. Show us you're stronger than this thing. Oba gritted his teeth, trying to force Ikiri back inside. His body convulsed. The serpent thrashed violently, rattling the chandelier, knocking glasses off tables. Its glowing eyes fixed on the women as if sizing them up. Stay back, Oba gasped. I can't hold it. But Chika suddenly remembered a story her grandmother once told about a cursed man and a serpent spirit weakened by the courage of those who loved him. If we stand with him without fear, it loses its power, she whispered to her sisters. The three women exchanged terrified glances, then clasped hands. Together they approached Oba, even as the serpent hissed menacingly. We're not leaving you, Gozi whispered, tears streaming down her face. You're our husband, Amaka said firmly. We fight together, Chika added, her voice shaking but strong. They knelt around Oba, embracing him as his body convulsed. The serpent lashed furiously, striking out, but their courage burned hotter than fear. Oba screamed, summoning every ounce of his will. With one final surge of strength, he forced Ikiri back inside his body. He collapsed, unconscious. The serpent vanished. The lounge fell silent, except for the wives' ragged breathing.